Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Spider Bytes, where we make networking simple for beginners. Have you ever wondered how a router sends traffic to the internet when it doesn't know the destination network? What happens next? Does the router drop the packet or does it magically know where to send it? This is where the default route comes in. In today's video, we are going to break this concept down in a simple and practical way. So whether you are preparing for CCNA, learning networking fundamentals, or just curious about how routers make decisions, by the end of this video, you will clearly understand how routers forward traffic to unknown networks like the internet. So let's get started. What exactly is default static route? It is a route that a router uses when it doesn't know the exact path to the destination network. When a router receives traffic for a network it doesn't know, it doesn't just drop the packet. Instead, it sends the traffic to a next hop router, basically a router that knows where to send the packet. In networking, we represent default route as 0.0.0.0/0, which means any unknown network. On Cisco routers, it is configured using the following command: IP route 0.0.0.0 with the subnet mask 0.0.0.0 and the next hop IP. What this command tells the router is that if you don't know where to send a packet, just send it to this next router or a next specific hop IP. Before we jump into the topology, let's clear up a quick confusion. You might have noticed I'm using the terms default route and default static route interchangeably. That's okay. Many professionals do the same, and in most cases, they mean the same thing. Technically speaking, there is a small difference. A default route is the concept where a router uses particular route when no specific route matches the destination network, whereas a default static route is one way to implement that concept, where we manually configure the default route using a static routing command. But in real world discussions, most people simply say default route, even when it is configured statically. So don't get confused if you hear both terms. In most cases, they are referring to the same thing. Now that we have understand the concept, let's look at how this works in an actual network topology. Now, let's understand default static routing using this network topology. For this configuration, we will also use a standard static route, which we covered in the previous lesson. If you would like to review the topic, you will find the video link in the top right corner, and I will also add it in the description below. Now, looking at the topology, we can see two networks right here. The first network is 192.168.1.0/24 is connected to router 1, and the second network, which is 192.168.2.0/24, is connected to router 2. In addition, router 2 is connected to the ISP router through the network 10.1.0.0/30, which represent our path to the internet. Now, let's talk through a simple scenario. Imagine PC2 wants to reach the destination IP address 8.8.8.8, which is a public internet address. First, PC2 sends the packet to its default gateway, which is router 2. Next, router 2 checks its routing table to see if it knows how to reach the destination network. However, there is no specific route for that particular destination address in the routing table. So what happens next? Instead of dropping the packet, Router 2 uses its default static route and forwards the traffic to ISP router. From there, the packet continues through the ISP network and eventually reaches the destination 8.8.8.8 somewhere on the internet. So, in simple terms, when a router receives the traffic for a destination it doesn't know, the default route provides a path to forward that traffic instead of dropping it. This is exactly why default routes are so important. They allow routers to handle traffic for the networks that are not explicitly listed in the routing table. In the next section, we will jump into the lab where we will configure the default static route on these routers and verify how traffic flows from our internal network to the internet. Now, let's configure this topology using the concepts we have learned so far. I'm going to provide a link to this packet tracer lab in the description. In this lab, the basic interface configurations are already completed, so we can focus only on configuring the standard static route and default static route. If you have a packet tracer available, I highly recommend following along with me so you can get some hands-on practice. Alright, let's start with router 1. Click on router 1 and open command line interface. And first we will go to the enable mode and check the show IP route of router 1. So here you can see we can see the two networks 10.0.0.0 and 192.168.1.0, and C over here means connected. So because these two networks are directly connected to the router 1, we can see both of them over here in the routing table. Next, you can also see the gateway of the last resort is not set. Because we haven't applied any default static routes yet, it is not set up currently. So let's go ahead and apply default route. So we will go to the configuration terminal mode and apply IP route 0.0.0.0, 0.0.0.0, and the next hop from R1 it's going to be 10.0.0.2 over here. And let's check the routing table right now. So as we can see, the gateway of the last resort, which is the another name for the default route, is set up currently. Next, let's go to the command line interface for the router 2. Over here, we will need one static route to the network 192.168.1.0 and another default route which will go to the ISP router. So let's configure those. First, go to the configuration terminal mode and apply IP route 192.168.1.0 network with the subnet mask 255.255.255.0/24, and the next hop would be 10.0.0.1, and next we will apply the default route 0.0.0 subnet mask 0.0.0, and the next hop for this one would be the interface of ISP router, which is 10.1.0.2. Next, we need to apply some static routes on ISP router to reach the two local networks that we have over here. So let's go to the command line interface for ISP router. Go to the configuration terminal mode and apply IP route 192.168.1.0 with the subnet mask of /24, and the next hop would be the interface of R2, which is 10.1.0.1, and another IP route for the network 192.168.2.0 with the same /24 subnet mask, and the next hop would be the same. Now let's see how the default route actually works in this topology. To visualize the packet flow, let's switch packet tracer into simulation mode. To enable this mode, you can just click on the simulation button, which is given at the top bottom corner of the packet tracer. Once you click on the simulation, from PC1 we need to ping request to the destination IP address 8.8.8.8, which represent a public internet address. So let's go to the PC1 and the command prompt and ping 8.8.8.8. Now the packet is generated over here, as you can see on the PC1, and to move or forward this packet you can click on the next arrow on the right hand side just above the simulation button right here, which will forward this packet to the default route of the network, which is router 1. So here, as the packet arrives on the router 1, it's gonna check its routing table if the destination IP address is available or not. So let's go to the router 1, and in the command line interface go to the user exec mode and apply the command show IP route to check routing table. So as we can see here that the destination IP address is not available. So the router 1 is going to select the default route for the unknown traffic, which is 0.0.0.0, and the next hop would be the 10.0.0.2, which is the router 2. So the packet is going to get forwarded to router 2, and the same process is gonna repeat. So router 2 is going to check if the destination IP address 8.8.8.8 is available in its routing table. So as we can see that the destination IP address is not available here as well. So it's also gonna select the default route of 0.0.0.0/0 with the next hop IP 10.1.0.2, which is the ISP router in the network. From there, the packet continues through the ISP network until it eventually reaches the destination. So this is exactly how a default route works. It provides a path for a traffic when the router does not have a specific route for the destination network. I hope you understand the concept of default static route, and if you have any questions then please let me know in the comments and I'll be happy to help.